Hey everyone, you are listening to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. This little banter is about a car ride long and features your hosts, JJ Parker and Melissa Albers. JJ owns a tech company and Melissa has been a coach working with influencers for the last 18 years. Okay, so I was thinking about something, JJ, and I almost called you last night because this is a really big deal.
Lay it on me. That sounds awesome.
So, I actually wonder if we got something wrong in the self-awareness journey.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, we have all of these, how we've got feelings and we've got the personal focus. We've got all this, we've got all these stops in the roadmap,
so
right?
You're talking about the roadmap. We're talking right now. You're talking about the roadmap.
Yep.
We just yesterday we're re-recording some of the lesson stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're talking about, one of the elements of the roadmap you think we got wrong.
Yeah. And I think the reason I came to this is something that you said when we were doing all that filming. You said, I think that as we get these lessons more succinct, because they used to be 25 minutes long and we're trying to be easier for people, right? And make them a little shorter and still not lose any of the essence of it.
Yeah.
And as we got to the environmental feels, I still really liked that lesson, but there was something that was missing for me. And I realized it last night. And that is this. The environmental feels is the last stop we make before we come home. Mm-hmm. And the environmental feels, as it's stated in the self-awareness journey presently, it's like, notice what your environment feels like. If it's hard for you to connect emotionally with your own awareness, you can certainly check in with the environment. And does the environment feel competitive? Does it feel inflexible? Mm-hmm. Those are representations of your own feelings, right? Because you're creating your own reality. Yep. But the thing I think that we missed is that the environmental feels is really a person's checkpoint on how they're doing. It's the external manifestation of all of this work. How you are being treated by other people, how your work feels, is 100% based on how you are in yourself, in your journey.
Interesting. Okay, so when we would talk about environmental feels before, we were using it as I would always position it, I guess, as okay, we talk about, if we run down the roadmap, we talk about triggers, we talk about feelings, then we talk about authentic versus actor self. And then we say, hey, if just being straight up in touch with your feelings and understanding when you're in your actor or authentic self is too much of a stretch for you right now, let's focus on your thinking patterns and your thoughts. And we call that personal focus.
Right. What are you thinking about?
Are you monkey braining over a bunch of stuff all the time? And then we say, hey, if that one's even challenging, let's talk about how your environment feels. Yep. And that's where you're saying, does it feel supportive and calm, or does it feel competitive and rigid, right? Yeah. And you're observing this, and that will help you be more aware of your emotions, right? Because if I'm feel, or we even talk about how notice how other people are in your environment. Do other people think your office is competitive? Well, you're also in that same office, so it's likely you're feeling that, right?
Right.
And then we go so far as to say, if your environment feels a certain way, you're actually creating that, because
that's right.
Two people could walk into the same room. One could feel that it's a terrible place to be. Right. One could feel it's a wonderfully supportive place. There's no difference in the walls.
That's right. That's right.
It's the perspective of those people.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
And so we're using it as a way. But you're taking it farther.
Diagnostic.
Much
what I was,
that's a great word. We are using it as a diagnostic tool, but you're saying, hey, it's beyond that. We stopped too short.
I'm saying it is all of that and so much more. Okay. Yeah. So yes, in answer to your question, I feel like the environmental feels we talk about, does it feel supportive? Do you feel like it's stable and pretty flexible for you to be in? And that would be an environment that is in the actor self side, or sorry, in the authentic self. That's when we're really feeling ourselves and feeling easygoing and feeling good. The actor self environment, again, is that constant state of redo. We're in constant flux. Everything feels dramatic. We feel like it's inflexible. We can't make mistakes. We're constantly checking ourselves. And it's a great diagnostic tool. The environmental feels stop is a great diagnostic tool. But here's the thing. It is an amazing stop for us to check our work. What I mean by that is exactly as you always say, we create our own realities, and that is so true. Here's a place for you to check your work, because the way people are treating you, the environment that you are spending your time in, is 100% directly related to the work that you are doing or just in being. The way you are being, like scratch that work that you are doing, scratch that. The way that you are being, this environmental feels is your checkpoint to come back to 100 times. If all of a sudden people start treating you in a way that they come into instant partnership with you in a trusting way, they know that they're going to come to you and they're going to be received with certain things. That's a manifestation of what you are putting out, right? Because we get more of what we put out. That which we spend our energy on comes back to us 100 times over. Anything we think, say, and do comes back to us 10 times more. And this environmental feels is your checkpoint. It's like the gate. I just feel like it's a swinging gate.
What if, it's a swinging. I like how we try to visualize some of these abstract concepts. I thought it was a revolving door that you got stuck in.
I did that once in front of the VP of sales. When I was a young salesperson with my roller bag, I got stuck in it. That's a horrible thing. I won't ever use revolving door. That's an example. I'm still marred.
It's a trauma. Well, so I like what you're saying is that we were using it as a diagnostic thing. I like that we can still use it as that, but almost in a more repetitive way. Like what it made me start thinking about when you're talking about that is like, okay, like if we start using that part of the roadmap and that part of the teaching, right, to say, hey, like you use it diagnostically, but go beyond that and start like using that to create what you want. Yes. It made me think like, at the bottom, it's like reflect, refocus, remember. But maybe that manifesting your own environment is a little bit part of that. Like I'm trying to think of like how those two puzzle pieces fit together. Cause again, we're like, a bit developing this roadmap kind of as we go and as this is like a refinement.
I think that's pretty normal though. Maps usually do get updated once or twice a year because new roads get put in all the time, right?
Absolutely.
I think, I guess what I'm saying is it is everything that we have said it is. Like it is a really good stop on the map. And the reflect, refocus, remember, these are all single things for us to help ourselves to constantly gain more awareness. Like that's the whole point. So that, and again, what's the point is just to be happy, to feel happiness, to learn to be more centered and stable. And I guess what I'm saying is with the environmental feels, that's not just the internal representation, right? That's our way of doing a quick check and noticing. So like, let me give you an example. Like I coached this woman a long time ago who, to be honest, she was pretty snarky and she was so incredibly smart, but she was really kind of snarky. And she had she had to partner with another leader in the organization who was another very strong woman. And the two of them just did not get on at all. And so my client did a lot of work in the self-awareness journey. She embraced that on her own. She loved it. Before I was even asking people to do it much, she was all in. And she started to change her feelings about that woman. She started to change her feelings, and she started to perceive that other woman differently, even though that woman never changed one single thing about who she was. My client started to picture and see things differently. And that other woman came up to her out of the blue and had a totally different attitude with her one day, and was kind, and asked her, instead of ordering her to have something done, she asked her when she thought she could have it done. And that was such a shift. And my client called me and said, "Did you say something to her?" And I was like,
Oh,
no,
yeah. She thought
no.
something else was in play, right?
Yeah, but she could check in with the environment and notice that one of the people in that environment had a certain way with her. And in her own personal work, suddenly that person did not have the same way with her at all. And that happens all the time.
That's a really great story. That's illustrating like a shift in someone's attitude, perception, energy, and response created a different external result, a different environment that they were in.
Yeah. So, my client could easily look at this roadmap in 6 months, and she could pick all the individuals or all the, examples in her environment that bothered her, or that caused her a lot of stress, caused her anxiety, or that she made excuses for. She could easily, in 6 months' time, or every month, or every week, she could capture those same exact things and look at them now and say, are they different? As a result of the work that I have, not the work. I hate saying that. I don't mean it that way. I don't mean that this is hard work. It's not. It's simply allowing yourself to be more, and accepting yourself more. But is my ability to accept myself more changing all of these things around me? So that's what I was like. I feel like we were sort of missing that single piece. That is the place where people can really check in and notice visible
and really
changes.
Grow, right? I mean, to me, that's a like you said, it's a very measurable is not the right word, but it's a really like
you can see
notice, like you can really see it, right?
Yeah. So
I like this episode so far because it's like a very true insight into even the idea of the self-awareness journey, which is continual growth. And here we are even trying to work out little bits of it as we try to help other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't feel one bit bad about it. I mean, I remember when I was in sales, this is before there were cell phones and map quests, and they would sell these maps that are laminated, and they would fold up into these little rectangles, and on one side would be the whole state, and then on the flip side would be just the metro area. And
oh yeah.
You remember those?
I do.
And I loved oh, shut up. I remember them acutely. And I have no sense of direction, so I could get lost in a parking lot, even trying not to. But every year they would come out with a new one. And they came out with a new one because they were always changing something. There was always something changing in that map. So I always couldn't wait for the new map to come out.
Such a dork. Can't wait till the new map. See where the new roads are.
Maybe I won't get lost in Eden Prairie because Eden Prairie has 75 Valley View roads and none of them connect.
Well, okay, so what are we going to do about this?
Well,
if we're really like sharing how our secret sauce is made.
I feel like we need to redo
what are we going to do about it?
I think we need to redo that lesson at a minimum, and we need to start framing that a little differently in our conversations whenever we get a chance to do some teaching on that. I feel like we need to expand what that really is and what it really can do for people.
So here's a question I have for you from that perspective.
Yeah.
Is we have those lessons, like this last round, we're trying to hit 8 to 10 minutes on those. We hit 8 minutes just talking about the diagnostic part of environmental feels. I'm wondering how we actually talk about both sides of that in that time constraint.
I think
or does this go somewhere else? Like, it's not like it's a next stop, but does it actually go in the reflect, refocus, remember bit of the process?
Oh, that's such a good question, because you're right. You started to say that earlier and I wasn't there with you, but now that you're saying it like that, yeah, I think it could easily go in the reflect, refocus, and remember portions. And
I don't know how it goes in there, but to me, that's part of the cycle, right? Like if we're trying to get ourselves into a little bit of a cycle, so we can get more practiced, right? We can practice every day. Is that where it goes?
Yeah. And if it does go there.
Do you have a fourth R?
No, I think that these are in the opposite order.
Oh no.
I think it should be reflect, remember, and refocus.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. Why were they in that order in the beginning?
I don't know. It's a year old. See, it's time for the new laminate to come out. Yes, it's a new map.
Hold on. You said
reflect, remember, refocus.
Yeah.
Reflect. What are my feelings right now? That definitely has to stay as number one. Remember, my body gives me cues about my feelings and thoughts. And when I pay attention and make choices that feel good, everything always works out for me. Refocus. I'll gently guide my thoughts back to the ones that have and create positive feelings in my body.
So part of that reflect step feels to me like it should be around like, it's like reflect, but it's also observe.
Yeah, I don't know if at that moment we want to say that it has to do with the environment, because we can't be at that environmental piece until we've really gotten accustomed to the whole pattern of so I don't know. So maybe I don't know, maybe it doesn't go there. Maybe it does stay in environmental
Maybe it does have to stay there.
And we just reframe that.
Because when we really are reflecting, right, we're reflecting on all of those stops along the journey, right? We're not just reflecting. I think I was being too narrow, right? But we're reflecting on, like, are we being our authentic self, and are we having
and really remember, this is meant for the people who are really brand new in this process, and they get off center. That's what the whole point is. It's like suddenly something triggers me, but I don't know how to get back. I don't know how I feel good. I don't know what any of this is about. Now I just know enough about all this to feel terrible, and I don't know what to do. So this was meant to just say, it's okay. Just guide yourself back in the moment. It's okay. Reflect on what you were just thinking that made you feel bad. What happened there?
Yep, you're right. Okay, so we will tighten up the diagnostic part of
I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay.
Add this other little bit. I think you're right.
But like, what I really like about that, if we think about it in a little more of an expansive way, though, is it does bring the whole point to not just being in partnership with yourself, but the benefits of being in partnership with other people from a more centered space. Like, wow, there is direct ways that it's so much easier. We always say it's easier for you to be in partnership with people. Well, this is where you can check.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
All right, cool.
I guess we got some work to do.
That's different. We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. Our mission is to help people become happier and more effective by gaining insight into their own thoughts and feelings. We'd love your support. First, share this podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. Second, leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast site. This helps others discover the podcast so we can reach more people. And third, sign up for our newsletter at theselfawarenessjourney.com. This will help us communicate better with you and build our community. Thank you so much for joining us in the Self-Awareness Journey. We'll see you next week.